So if you're over the age of 25, this might activate some serious childhood memories about this one. If you're not, it might seem a little bit random, but actually there's a really cool story behind it. So this is the Adidas F50 Unisport 30th anniversary boot, which we have designed with Adidas for all the ballers out there who dreams of making it pro. And of course, I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about it today, but if you just wanna buy it right now, you can do so in the link right up there or in the description. And now, let's just get down to the pitch. So this one is a remake of the original Adidas F50 Plus from 2005. This is our, Unisport and Adidas's take on the very iconic F50 Plus GOAL edition that was used in the film of the same name. Now this film follows the journey of a young guy who gets to realize his dream from playing football in the park to actually representing some of the biggest clubs in the world. And I remember seeing that film as a kid, noticing the boots and thinking how cool they were, but also really connecting with and feeling that journey of making your football dreams come true. It actually made it feel real and obtainable. Now, the funny thing is that our motto at Unisport is making football dreams come true. It even says on the sole plate, which also means that this story was absolutely nailed on. I mean, celebrating our 30th anniversary by remaking a football boot that's used in a film literally centered about making your football dreams come true. I mean, that's absolutely spot on, especially also because the boot now celebrates its 20th anniversary. 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary, that was pretty low-hanging fruit. Now, as for the design itself, there are actually levels to it, because apart from just recreating the OG look as faithfully as possible, where you get the red heel liners with the 3 Adidas stripes, you get the red lines on the heel, you even get the red line under the midfoot on the sole right there, which looks sick. But of course, you also get the little red F50 call out on the outside. We've changed the stripes here to red to make it pop a little bit more. And it just it has the same look and feel. What we have changed is actually the color of the TPU cage from black to navy. That's because navy is one of the Unisport brand colors and we felt it sort of makes sense. And from afar, it looks very similar. But actually the remake here is also jam-packed with little cool details. So for instance, underneath the lace cover, we have the Unisport 30th anniversary logo. It's also on the insole. And then on the heel, it says 1 out of 995. Now that's a reference to our founding year of 1995. 1995. As I said, there are levels to this. And then of course also we have an absolutely smashing pearlescent outsole. And what's cool about that is, well, it looks great, but there's also some quotes on here. On the left, it says, make football dreams come true. That's our motto. On the right, it has this amazing quote that says, home is green, and it has a goalpost at each end. I love that quote. Now, that quote is actually also one of the reasons that we've come here to the Pharaoh Islands to shoot this video, because apart from being ridiculously picturesque, as you saw in the intro, it also taps into the story that we like a lot, that football is everywhere. Not just in the biggest stadiums that we all see on television. Sure, it's also there, but all of those dreams, all of those stories, they start in places like this, where it's just you and a ball and some goalposts and a pitch. This is where dreams start. It's home. And that's a great story. It's far away from everything. It's just, Now, from a tech point of view, it takes the same blueprint from the original from 2005, but then uses modern technology and know-how to make it feel a little bit more, relevant for football in 2025. Just a little bit more sleek and less chunky. That also means that Adidas have actually used the F50 Elite laceless as a base. You get that knit tongue going all the way through, but they've also then added actual laces and little lace loops to the side here. Plus, of course, they've added that really iconic leather lace cover on top. Of course, we also get this nice stitch and turn heel with a lovely suede heel liner that I personally like a lot. I'll get back to that. But I should also mention that there is a significant difference between this remake and the OG F50 Plus GOAL edition, because this kind of recreates this TPU cage and also has the mesh midfoot and heel. Now that was also on the regular F50 Plus back in the day, whereas the Gold Edition actually had leather going all the way through and the cage was stitched on. So that is a bit of a difference. Some people like that, some won't, but the vibes are the same still. And it still looks good. But when the boots come on your foot and onto the pitch, I actually really like what I'm feeling. Now, one of the ideas about actually not going leather on the midfoot and heel was to make the boot feel as sleek and nimble as possible to use it in 2025. And that also means that you get this very, like it is a traditional F50-like fit, meaning that you get a really anatomical feel in the midfoot, a decent width in the forefoot, but also a boot that just sits relatively snug around your foot. So that's pretty nice. The heel is, in my book at least, absolutely fantastic. I love the way it just hugs the top of your heel so nicely, really locks it in place, but it's also very comfortable at the same time and has a little bit, when you start to sweat, of like anti-slip feel to it as well. And to me, it should just be a mainstay on all F50 boots going forward. It just feels nice. Now, from a touch point of view, I actually expected the leather to add a little more bulk to the forefoot than it actually does. But it ends up having this really nice balance between being relatively sharp and close to the ball, and then also having this slightly more padded, layered, soft feel to it as well. And then, of course, just like back then, you get a really low, pointy, very sleek feeling to the toe box. So that's very nice. So overall, it just feels sleek and nimble like an F50 should, but just has that, you know, extra something that we got back on the F50 Plus from 2005, just in a modernized feel. So I actually like it. Now, of course, the remake here isn't as sharp on the ball as the regular F50 with the fiber touch upper, but personally, I don't really mind this middle ground of having the feel of leather on an F50 either. So that's a little bit up to personal preference. From a fit point of view, I think it's a relatively easy fitting boot out of the box for me. You get that nice snug fit in the midfoot and a little bit of, you know, like softness, good decent amount of width in the forefoot here. And since the calf leather, it's soft enough out of the box, I would say, but if you give it a couple of sessions and allow it to really break in, it softens up very nicely and actually takes nicely to the shape of your foot as well. Now, width and lengthwise, just like the regular F50, it runs like a smidge long for me, but still, it's not enough to go down half a size. That would be too tight for me and uncomfortable, so true to size, I would say, is the way to go. And it's gonna fit some people better than me, so true to size, go true to size. Now, the heel, as I mentioned, is really nice, not only because it fits really well and it's very comfortable, but also because the lock-in is just so good. And when you combine that with the lockdown in the midfoot, which admittedly it's not top tier, but it does what it's supposed to, and these two things working in tandem just means that obviously the lockdown is way better than the regular F50 laceless, but also actually I would say better than in the normal F50 Elite. So that's something. What's also cool though is that just like back in 2005 with the Fusion frame insoles, you actually had two insoles here, and while admittedly they are just like pretty standard insoles and don't come in a leather pouch like you got back then, which you could argue is a little bit of overkill, but it is what it is, but it's a nice little touch. Now, for all the sugar that I'm spreading over the remakes, because they're really cool and all, there also is a little bit of salt dripping that we gotta talk about. But wait, Jay, are you actually going to criticize your own anniversary boots that the team has been a part of? Well, I mean, we gotta keep it real, right? Now, obviously, for authenticity reasons, it would have been really nice to just have like a full leather construction on this version, but that ended up being a trade-off with what was actually feasible and making this design happen. So it kinda is what it is, and I can live with it. Now, the other thing I wanna talk about is actually the tongue and lace cover construction here, where on the remake, it makes sense for a number of reasons that adidas used the laceless version of the F50 to make it, but because you then have the knit tongue from the laceless version, it doesn't really look as much as the original as personally I would have liked to, where you got this little fold-over tongue with the Velcro piece that held the lace cover in place. Now, for obvious reasons, on the remake, there is no Velcro piece, meaning that the lace cover kind of just flaps a bit about, but also it doesn't really get the same very sleek and streamlined look and feel as it did back on the original. Which, for me, it was just one of those things that despite the 2005 levels of bulk, it just looked very, very sleek, and it was just like, And this does too, but it's just not quite the same. I mean, it's cool and all, but it is what it is. But you also know me. I am probably among the nitpickiest of the nitpickers. And while this whole lacing Velcro situation would have made the remakes a bit more authentic, I still think it's a very, very cool boot. Not only do we bring back the iconic look that, at least I think for people my age, is very much connected to like childhood memories and all that stuff with the boots from the film. It also brings back the feel of a very, very legendary boot, but in a modern package that's just a completely different take on the 2025 F50. But also for us, it's a boot that shows that it's okay to dream. Like bringing back a boot that means so much to us is a big dream. Being in this game as Unisport for 30 years, that's a dream. Making football content for you guys for 17 years on YouTube. That's a massive dream, right? And also just playing on a pitch like that, up here, dream. So it just goes to show that football dreams do come true. So buy the boots, just kidding. But just think about it, follow your dreams. And one day, they might just happen. I'm just gonna leave that there. Signing off, cheerio.